I will say this, that the reason I think I'm better as the nominee is that I can bring this country together, I think, in a unique way across divisions of race, religion, region, and that is what's going to be required in order for us to actually deliver on the issues.
Well, that was back in 2008 when then Senator Barack Obama stood on the stage vying for the presidency, promising he would be a different kind of leader, one who would bring the country together. But after more than 6 years of what both sides describe as a toxic political climate, it's clear it has not happened. Despite that, the president still drew a stunned reaction from conservatives today when he compared Republicans raising questions about his Iran deal to the terror-supporting hardliners within the Iranian regime. Watch.
Just because Iranian hardliners chant death to America does not mean that that's what all Iranians believe. In fact, it's those hardliners who are most comfortable with the status quo. It's those hardliners chanting death to America who've been most opposed to the deal. They're making common cause with the Republican caucus.
Charles Krauthammer is a Fox News contributor and author of Things That Matter, now out in paperback with an added chapter on the age of Obama. Charles, good to see you. How about that?
Pleasure to be here. Well, I mean, it's vintage Obama, the demonization of his opponents, the lumping them together with people chanting death to America, I must say is a new low for the president, which is saying a lot considering how he does demonize the opposition, question their motives. But what's even worse here is how delusional he is. He's pretending that those who chant death to America are some kind of KKK fringe in Iran. The people leading the chants are the Revolutionary Guards, the army, the parliamentary leaders, and of course, as he always calls him, Obama always does, the supreme leader himself. In a speech he made just a few days after the signing of the agreement, the chants break out, death to America, death to Israel, and the Ayatollah says, may Allah hear your prayers. Now, this idea that somehow he has been strengthening the moderates is simply absurd. What he is doing is he's made common cause with the hardliners, meaning the government, by removing the sanctions, by giving them a clear path to a bomb, an arsenal of bombs in 10 years, and not just a path, but in 10 years they will have an arsenal that would be legitimated and considered perfectly okay by the international community. He's the one who's going to be giving tens of billions of dollars to the hardliners, meaning the government and the Ayatollah, which will be used for terror activities, for expanding its influence, and for suppressing its people. And one more point. When the moderates were out in the streets, the students demonstrating against the regime in 2009, specifically the people he says that the conservatives, the Republicans are abandoning, Obama sided with the Ayatollah, shooting people in the streets. There was graffiti on the walls in Tehran that said, Obama, Obama, are you with us or against us? Those were the demonstrators. Those were the ones who don't shout death to America. Look to Obama, and they got nothing.
You know, the question is whether the administration is sort of in this suspension of disbelief, because you've got President Obama talking about how this is just this death to America stuff. That's just rhetoric from, you know, people who seem to be separated from the leaders. At the same time, John Kerry says to Jonah Goldberg in a fascinating interview, he asks him whether he believes that Iran wants to wipe Israel off the map. And Kerry says, I don't know the answer to that. He says, well, they didn't make the bomb when they had enough material for 10 to 12. He doesn't know whether Iran wants to wipe Israel off the map, Charles. And we just pulled a couple of quotes from the Ayatollah in the not-too-distant past. The Zionist regime is a cancerous tumor. It will be removed. This barbaric, wolf-like, and infanticidal regime of Israel, which spares no crime, has no cure, but to be annihilated. On and on and on about how, oh, here's one. It has to be erased from the map. So, I mean, it's pretty on point.
Well, then you have to ask yourself, we're really is going through Kerry's head. After all, the man he negotiated with, the so-called moderate foreign minister, said exactly the same thing to an interviewer during the negotiations. It isn't as if these are extremist, wild statements. Look, it is a fundamental principle of the Islamic regime founded in 1979 to the expulsion of the influence of the United States, the domination of U.S. allies, meaning the Gulf Arabs and other Arabs in the region, and the most important ideologically is the eradication of Israel as a way to redeem the Islamic idea that lands that were once controlled by Islam have to remain under Islam, and particularly Israel because it's in the middle of the Middle East and because it includes Jerusalem. This is a fundamental principle of theirs, and that Kerry and Obama seem to dismiss it is really shocking. And you wonder, how can you negotiate if you have no conception of the real ideology and intentions of your enemy?
Charles, great to see you. See you tomorrow night.
My pleasure, yes.
Well, at this time tomorrow, the American people will be treated to a debate already being described as nothing short of historic. Well, we'll see. We hope. And you can bet that immigration will be a hot topic right here in this arena that you're looking at right now. Up next, best-selling author Ann Coulter and journalist Jose Antonio Vargas. Next on what they think the voters should be listening for.